I have noticed a rise in women expressing their desire for a real man who embraces his duty, yet they never acknowledge their own responsibilities. It feels like they want to have their cake and eat it too, expecting men to step up while not recognizing their own roles in building gender harmony. Not cute. Story 1. My ex-girlfriend had a child from a previous relationship, and they shared custody equally. We dated for 5 months and saw each other 4 to 5 times a week, mostly without her son. The stepdad role was new to me, but I was willing to take it on when we had that conversation. I still did things for him because he was a child and the child of a woman I cared about. We broke up and I asked for reasons so I could improve for the future, either with her or another partner. She said I did not step up to be her son's dad. I replied that we never had that conversation and that, since she was the mother, it was her responsibility to bring it up. I would have felt like I was overstepping by asking to take on that role. She said, a real man would just step up. I'll say again, he had a father in his life, and they shared custody equally. Story 2. My mom does not love that I am really passionate about cooking. She does not think it is reflective of a real man in her eyes. She believes it will actively hurt my chances of finding a good woman to marry so I can have her cute grandchildren. Story 3. I have no issue with single mothers, nor do I think badly of the men who date them. I was brought up by a single mother until I was 12, when my stepfather started dating her. It just comes off as real men should be attracted to me and date me, which sounds stuck up and entitled. Some men are open to dating single mothers, and others are not. People are entitled to their own preferences. Choosing to date a single mother or not does not make a man more or less of a man. Most of the real men comments essentially boil down to a real man would do something to benefit me at their own discretion. Story 4. Buy a $6,000 fur coat. I was 19, worked at Walmart by day and 7-Eleven overnight, barely affording necessities including diapers for our child. She got her parents to buy it for her instead, saying I should be embarrassed. Story 5. Usually, when a woman comments about a real man, it has something to do with benefiting them. A real man, according to them, is someone who protects them from the consequences of their actions by standing up for them when they act foolishly or deserve punishment. A real man is a man who makes a lot of money so he can give it to them, allowing them to buy whatever they want. A real man is someone who does not ask for anything in return or need any support because they do not want to be bothered with the needs of a real person. They want to take and not give any emotional support. Their idea of a real man has nothing to do with the actual qualities of a real man and only relates to the fulfillment of their narcissism. Story 6. A real man should pay for everything and financially support his girlfriend. This statement came from a woman in her 30s who earned 6 figures. Story 7. How I should be able to return 100% normally after fighting a war and losing more friends than the amount of brain cells she has. She said that to me 5 days after returning from war. It was my 3rd day back at work. Worst feedback conversation I have had with a boss, goddamn. Story 8. Start a fight with a random man at a bar, beat up her ex, work 2 jobs so she does not have to work one, work 2 jobs and do the housework for months on end because she is sad about our dog dying, never cry or talk about feelings, drink and drive, take cocaine at a funeral, find out the top speed of my new car on a public road, it was not a sports car or anything, starve so she can make irresponsible financial decisions, and later I should have been a real man and stopped her from making those decisions. A real man apparently hits his partner when she is acting out, and a real man apparently fathers a child with any woman to give her a baby. That is about 6 different women in my life, and I could come up with more examples without trying too hard. Women use this phrase for everything. If a woman even utters "be a real man," I end the relationship immediately. I would sooner be alone than conform to that idea of a real man. Story 9. Almost all real men, quotes, follow a general formula. Real men do something that benefits me, to their own detriment. The greater the imbalance between what they do and the detriment to themselves, the more of a real man they are. Story 10. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I had an ex-partner who insisted that I should cover our rent alone despite the fact that she was making more money than me from unemployment simply because I am the man. Story 11. Anyone, regardless of whether they are male or female, saying a real man does is wrong. No one gets to dictate what a real man is or does. In all situations, the person trying to control that definition is either selling something or trying to manipulate the person they are referring to. Story 12. Most statements followed by this sentiment from a woman are eye-rolling and often manipulative. I do not think I would date a woman who talked about what a real man does or would do. Story 13. Non-traditional women wanting traditional masculinity continues to be the most misguided concept ever. Story 14. We continued to have arguments about finances. She loved her stay-at-home role, earning the same amount for the past 6 years. I was paying for the mortgage, all vacations, and even bought a new car that she chose. After several conversations and years of her not making progress, she began saying I was stressing her out by talking about it. One day, she came back from a gathering with her cousin and some friends and told me that one of the men said I should be paying for everything. He said if he were her partner, that's what he would do. This was the beginning of the end of our 8-year relationship. Story 15. Real men don't leave a relationship. They fix it. Said by a woman who got dumped by her boyfriend for having no chemistry. Story 16. Anytime someone says real man this or that, I roll my eyes. Who has the right to tell me what I am? Story 17. A real man is over 6 feet tall and has a full head of hair. Another said real men are leaders in public and respect their partner at home. Story 18. Whenever a woman tells a man that he needs to man up or be a real man, every outcome after this only benefits a woman. Story 19. My personal favorite eye roll is whenever a woman says a real man would step up to take care of some other man's kids. Story 20. Another internet special. A real man does not need a gun to defend himself. I do not care if 5 men are coming for you. What is wrong with your courage? Story 21. There was a girl at work who wanted help carrying something heavy. She asked me, and I told her she could handle it as it was not that heavy. Turned out to be a box with a couple of books. She said she thought I was a man. I replied, okay, I'll get them for you, but make me a sandwich. She blushed, turned around, picked up the box herself, and left. Story 22. Women do not define what a real man is any more than men define what a real woman is. Story 23. Right. As if most women, especially younger women, know what they want. That goalpost moves every 15 years. Story 24. Anytime a woman says anything about a real man, they do not know our experience. Many women who start on that hold us to unrealistic expectations and say things they would not want men to say. Story 25. Just talking about real men in the first place will probably earn an eye roll. I don't know if I have ever heard a man talk about what a real woman would do. Story 26. Every single time I hear it, because it is always the same, a real man does something that benefits the woman. Story 27. I was talking to a girl, and she told me I was not her type because she wants a real man who rides a Harley. I told her it was okay. I was looking for a real girl anyway, and she became furious. Story 28. It was not phrased like a real man does not. But I was once told by a woman that no woman wants a man who cooks. When I brought some leftovers from the previous day's dinner to work, I had cooked it, but it was not quite enough to be a whole dinner again, so I brought it for lunch. What else are single men supposed to eat? Go to their mothers every day. Eat takeaway and junk food? Story 29. This just happened the other day. I work in a high-rise building with a parking garage. There are some low clearance sections, and a woman wasn't paying attention and drove her BMW X3 into a 5 feet 7 inches clearance section. Her SUV got stuck between some conduit and a beam. It was wedged in there pretty well and wasn't going to budge at all. When I responded to the call, she was in a bad mood and was trying to find someone to blame for why she crashed her brand new SUV. Here is the conversation that happened. Her. So you're the building engineer on duty? Me. Yes. Her. Are you going to hop into my car and floor it out of here so I can get home? Me. No, I'm not going to drive your car. Her. Aren't you a man? Aren't you brave? My boyfriend jumps out of airplanes, you know. He's a man. You? You're seriously not going to drive my car out of here and get me unstuck? Me, ma'am, I'm not afraid to drive your car out of here. It's not my car and not my damage. However, I'm not allowed to for liability reasons. She went on a huge rant and was very irritated. It has now become a joke in our shop, with everyone saying, "Aren't you a man?" LOL. Story 30. Somewhat related, I briefly dated a woman who had random outbursts of anger over minor things. It was never directed at me before, but this time she was cursing loudly in the bathroom because she could not get her contacts out. When I asked her to calm down, she told me to man up, so I walked out. She sent many angry texts afterward, saying she was like this because of past trauma. I just blocked her and moved on. Story 31. The thing that frustrates me the most is the insistence that there are no such things as women's chores, but men's chores definitely still exist. I'm probably extra sensitive about it because I'm not handy at all. Yet I'm supposed to be an accomplished carpenter, electrician, and plumber while working on a computer all day and contributing to all other household chores and parenting. My wife points to my friends or family members who redid their floors themselves or installed new shelving, but those same men cannot be left alone with their kids for a few hours. Meanwhile, I have probably changed more diapers than she has, and I do the dishes every night, but you don't hear me complain about her not taking care of women's chores. Story 32. Gender roles are unhelpful. An important part of finding someone compatible with you is that you both support each other in the best ways you know how. Some couples are great at this while others are not. Everyone has different needs and wants. Men, as well as women, can decide what they do or do not want in a partner. Story 33. Anything they say after a real man is nonsense. Men should not gatekeep masculinity, and women need to stop complaining about it. I would never tell a woman what a real woman is either. Story 34. Anyone, man, woman, or otherwise talking about what a real man would do is not being honest. They are always trying to get something from you, either your labor, your money, or your compliance. A real man would tell them to go away. And yes, what I am trying to get from you is your compliance, that is, telling others to go away. Story 35. Chances are that a woman who would voice being a real man has no idea what a real man means. Life is not a romance novel or a Cinderella story. I am a woman, but I might still be inclined to say, and I need a real woman. People who judge someone by some unseen impossible standards are not people I want to be around. Friend or lover does not matter. Story 36. To be honest, my eyes roll so far back any time a woman utters that phrase about literally anything. It is never followed by anything other than an attempt at shaming. Anytime an ex, to have tried it, comes at me with that garbage, I know that the relationship is over. Story 37. You got a salad and a half sandwich? You should have just gotten a full sandwich. Men should not be eating salads and vegetables like that. You should be more manly and eat just meat. This was years ago on a first date. Needless to say, it was also the only date. I genuinely thought she was joking at first until she made it clear she was not. Story 38. Fight. She is Peruvian and told me a real man would stand up to her and fight with her. I stood up and showed her the door. Story 39. Usually, immediately when they say that, I'm out. That is one big red flag for unresolved father or ex-partner issues. Not a counselor or someone trying to meet the ex. Have a good day, miss. Do not contact me again. Story 40. To be honest, I have only ever heard that a handful of times, and each time was so insignificant to me that I do not remember the details at all. Most people look at me and assume I am gay. I think it is because of my long, well-kept hair. The thing is, my aunt died from lung cancer, and I remember her wearing wigs and how happy it made her that she did not have to be bald. Now, I grow and maintain my hair so I can donate it every few years. Plus, who does not love soft hair? I play with my own hair all the time because of how luscious it is now. Story 41. Happened last night. I'm just not into this chick, but she keeps trying. Please, take me home with you. I've been tripping on mushrooms and smoking dimethyltryptamine for 5 hours. I can't even feel myself. A real man would take me home and have sex with me. Go find a real man then. My dimethyltryptamine girlfriend has purple skin, golden eyes, and 7 vaginas that tunnel inwards through multiple dimensions. And I connect with her using my mind. Goodbye. Story 42. They expect a real man to be emotionally intelligent to their needs but emotionless to his own needs. Story 43. I take offense at anyone who is not a man saying such things. As if any woman would not lose her composure if a man said, well, a real woman would do XYZ. Story 44. Wear pink. It was not even a pink t-shirt. It was a black t-shirt with a pink to almost purple gradient graphic in the center. Story 45. No idea. If you do not sign my paychecks, I could not care less about what you think I should be doing. Story 46. Do whatever it is she disdained doing in the moment. Let's be real. Many women who signal their opposition to patriarchy really just want indulgent patriarchs. They are very happy to perform and police gender when it benefits them. Story 47. In my decades of being a man, I have met many of these strange expectations, and they all boil down to one thing. The original poster highlights avoidance of accountability or responsibility in all of this. Women like this do not get a second more of my time, simply because they are not grounded in reality in their thinking. The joke is on them, and in a few decades, it might be smart to buy stock in cat food companies. Story 48, mild in comparison, but here are some things I have personally heard that real men apparently should not do. And no, it is usually not other men saying this. Eat salad, buy kitchenware, smile, say that ducklings are cute, no squealing or anything, just the statement, be insecure or admit insecurity, hug a male friend, even just a short hello hug, not drink alcohol, have hobbies after turning 30, like anything people consider aimed at or popular with women such as music or shows, and have good handwriting. Story 49, I just hate that phrase as a whole. It is typically used by entitled women, and my response is usually, yes, you definitely know more about what it means to be a man than I do. I do not tell you how a real woman acts. I try to express my wants and needs and how I would like them to be met. The real man idea puts all the responsibility on one party in what should be a partnership, a sharing of responsibility. Story 50. My mother thinks that I do not do things like pulling out a chair for women because it makes me less of a man. The type of women I am interested in would look at me as if I had grown an extra arm if I went around doing that. She also believes that the man should always be the driver if there is a man and woman together, and she lets my father keep driving well past the point where he has become unsafe. Story 51. Men and women both sacrifice. We both give up parts of ourselves throughout our lives in relationships, physically exerting ourselves through hard work and especially by having children. Both sides often feel they do not receive enough thanks or appreciation from the other for their sacrifice. The feeling of never enough ruins relationships. Poor communication ruins relationships. Expecting something from the other person without expressing it ruins relationships. We all owe ourselves some heartache by looking inward and fixing what we can. Story 52. I feel like the only people who talk about real men are interested in a few niche things. Men who refer to real men are typically talking about strength, violence, money, and genital size. Women who talk about real men are typically referring to providers, money, and status. All of it is nonsense. To me, anyone who uses the term real man is equivalent to using alpha. It indicates that you are foolish. Story 53. A real man can provide for a woman and her children. He should protect, love, and provide for all who call him father. Story 54. Would settle down with a woman who trains and has 3 children from different fathers. Yes, it takes a real man to handle you. You have handled plenty before. Story 55. A woman said, I need to be strong, after losing her pet. She is a very unpleasant person. She says that anyone going out there and saying, real men do this, or it's not ladylike to do that, is harming society. Story 56. First date with an attractive woman. You should get bigger biceps and work on your chest because that's what women like. I was a triathlete at the time with a day job as a Navy diver. Sigh. Now, 20 years later, I think it's not easy being young and attracted. Or old and attracted. Story 57. Entitlement or expectation to provide in general. Relationships, marriage, dating, providing, these are social norms that humans have created. If a woman is nurturing and caring, She is fulfilling her part of the social contract. Quality men will want to date her and do these things for her. It will come naturally from him, and she won't need to nag or bully him into it. Men understand that they need to be investing their time to keep a quality woman. One of the biggest errors of the female involuntary celibate movement over the past few years is women who think they need to act a certain way or move in certain circles to get a genuine man, which is incorrect. If you are a feminine, kind, loving woman, what you consider a genuine man will find you and want to date you. No woman ever secured a respectable, wealthy, physically fit, or charming man by being unpleasant. Story 58. Real men don't ask for consent for sex. They take it. She also complained about the number of times she had been assaulted. That was a wild first and only date. In high school, I knew a girl who said, "Real men don't drink milk." Funny, since her family owned a dairy farm. Story 59. Women. Tell me how you are feeling. Also women, stop whining. Women, rub my back, feet, and shoulders. Also women, no reciprocation. Story 60. If he wanted to, he would. That is not true. There are many things I want to do but will never do because they are either illegal or would harm my reputation. For example, since I was a child, I have had a desire to kill, to suffocate someone while staring deep into their eyes as the life drains. I will never do that unless it is someone trying to hurt me or my family. Story 61. During COVID-19, I was with my ex and her kids, including those we took out of a foster home, her sister's children. I did most of the cooking and provided food. If I did not cook, I bought something from a restaurant. I also handled most of the cleaning and provided 100% of the income because she had been laid off and was trying to go back to school. She got upset with me for spending money to have my grass cut and my weeds pulled, and for not changing my oil. I do not earn the money I do to nickel and dime every little thing or spend my entire existence doing household manual labor. I do not want to cut the grass, so I am not cutting the grass. In fact, to make a point, I gave my lawnmower and weed eater to the man across the street who does lawn maintenance as an odd job, on the condition that he cut my grass for the entire year. I did not lose anything in the lawn. Story 62. Anytime a woman says, "real man," I roll my eyes or actually respond, and they do not do that around me again. The subject matter does not matter. A high-value man gets the same eye roll. Story 63. F64. Maybe I am wrong here, but answering the question above, if I helped you and finished, is it wrong for me to expect the same? Story 64. I have never heard a woman say anything like that before. However, I usually stopped seeing women who seemed to be dramatic by the first or second date. Story 65. Literally everything. Is the use of this phrase actual toxic masculinity in practice? Funny that. Story 66. Something along the lines of making less money than your wife is not a good reason to be a stay-at-home parent. You should go out and earn more. Also, if someone breaks into the house at night, it is the man's responsibility to deal with it. It does not matter if I am an expert marksman with actual combat experience. That one came from a Federal Bureau of Investigation agent. Story 67. I think this is because many women have already spent 5 years or more telling him how to be a man, how to clean up properly, and how to take care of the children. Most women are pretty self-sufficient. If the man has complaints, he has likely expressed them, hurt her feelings, and she likely changed. I do not see many men complain that women do not change. In fact, I hear men complain that women change too much, are too progressive, or expect too much of the relationship. Perhaps that is why. Story 68. Those who talk about real men are usually the people who spend time on TikTok discussing astrology and earning six-figure incomes. These individuals always want men to be the best at everything, while they themselves are completely incompetent. My eyes roll in disbelief. Story 69. I roll when they say they want a real man, but they never had a father, so how would they know what a real man is? Story 70. I have never been told by a woman what a real man would do. I am 51 years old, have dated dozens of women, and spent most of my adult life in long-term relationships. If any grown woman or man told me how a real man would do anything, I would laugh hard and walk away. Story 71. Woman here. I was raised among family men who were all old school and did everything themselves. I was taught how to help frame houses, put up drywall and tape, install flooring, use all the tools and more. Trying to date in a world where I own more tools than most of my potential dates is daunting. I had to learn to hide that I know my way around the garage and tool shed until it was obvious I needed to step in or someone would get hurt. Then the "you lied to me" nonsense starts. I always thought all men knew how to use tools and do house repairs. It has been a real eye-opener having to change my expectations in a partner. But that is life. You roll with the punches and keep going. Story 72. Men can sometimes struggle with emotional awareness, especially while the frontal lobe is still developing. However, men's intuition can also be a strong and valuable force. Story 73. As a woman, I have used the idea of a real man in a way that is better described as a man-child. A male who is well past the age of majority but peaked in high school. He is 40 and living with his mother. He cannot support himself, does not have a car, and is emotionally and psychologically immature. He offers nothing to a relationship. However, when questions are raised or suggestions made about his lifestyle and life choices, the response is, "I am a grown man. I do not need to be told what to do." Story 74. Bench pressed their partner or significant other. She was 90 pounds soaking wet and applied that to every other woman, evidently. Story 75. Pretty much any of that. If you can work outside the home, I can wear short shorts outside the home. Fair is fair. Story 76. Never ask about the past. Accept everything without judging. I said, girls, we are humans, so we need to know everything about you. This way, we understand if it is a long-term relationship, a changing relationship like changing clothes, or just casual. Story 77. A real man would have stood up for her while she was being very rude to the pharmacist, who was clearly overwhelmed, without any support staff, and doing his best to fulfill multiple orders at once. Story 78. Apparently, real men have to have a sense of humor, but not around her parents, her friends, your parents, or during intimate moments. Story 79. Anytime a woman pulls that real man tactic, I can't help but roll my eyes because it is just a shaming method to get you to do things that benefit her. It is always a real man does this behavior that benefits her. Anyone who falls for that has no self-respect. Story 80. Seriously, using the phrase real man undermines the fact that each man and woman is their own person, worthy of independent thought. Story 81. I had a debate with my coworkers about who should pay on the first date. I said I make it clear before even choosing the restaurant that I'd like to pay separately at first, and if I feel like it, then I'll go ahead and pay for both of us with permission. They said men should pay first, no questions asked. Maybe it's a side effect of experiencing both sides of ghosting, or maybe it's because Generation Z is struggling with dating. I didn't expect to be the only one with this opinion out of 5 or 6 people. I don't want to pay $50 for someone I may only see once, and I don't want them to feel bad paying for me if I don't feel anything. Story 82. I've heard many stories, but the worst is about one women's mixed martial arts fighter. Her boyfriend gave her the feeling of disgust because of the way he was knocked down and was getting hit on the ground. He was flailing, trying to stop the incoming punches rather than retaliating. This upset her. She fought on the same event as her boyfriend. Guess who won their fight and who lost? Story 83. Never listen to anything a woman says. They have no idea what they want and it changes all the time. Find a woman who will not bring you down, or stay single. Never change anything about yourself to get a woman. You will lose yourself completely and the woman in the end too. Always concentrate on building yourself up and wait for a submissive woman without all this nonsense in her mind. Everything else makes absolutely no sense at all. Story 84. I always snort a little when I hear a woman try to tell me what a real man is, knowing very well she would never be saying this if she had ever had either a husband or a father. Single mothers often end up raising future single mothers and future irresponsible fathers. This is not entirely their fault sometimes, but sadly the cycle repeats. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.